I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for joining in. We are live right now. All right. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. If anybody is here, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the live stream. I have not done the live stream in some time, and last time I did the live stream, I think there was an issue during my live stream at the time. So unfortunately, I had to shut it off because of the power cuts issues. But today I'm back doing a live stream again, and today the idea is to just talk about some of the video game stories, some of the biggest video game stories that's happening or that has been talked about this week. So big video game stories, news, you can say. I would also like to talk about later on upcoming games and what's coming up in the next couple of weeks, and as well as I would love to talk about what's I'm playing, what I'm doing, what are some things that I've been watching and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the agenda for the live stream here. So I hope you guys are doing well. Sushi, welcome on in. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all the lovely act. I appreciate that. So if you guys are tuning in, thank you so much for being here once again. I just actually finished recording an episode with Estelle Darnall. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. But Estelle, she actually did the motion capture and performance capture for pretty much everyone, all the female characters in Clair Obscur Expedition 33, like almost all the female characters. And so not just like I did the recording like a couple hours, an hour and a half ago. We finished recording, and it will be a fun one. I think that will be dropping later this week on this Friday. So it's exciting. I'm excited to share that as much as when I get the time to, like when I edit and finish it. So obviously the members will be able to get it before on Wednesday, early access. If you're a member of the channels, you can get it early access for that's whatever the new episode is coming out. So that is with Estelle. That's going to be coming out this Wednesday. I managed to check the schedule because I forgot the time. Glad I made it. I appreciate that. I appreciate that as well. I was feeling a little off after the recording. I mean, nothing major, but I was just like, okay, I need to shut my eyes a little bit. So I did that, and then I'm here right now. So just wanted to take a little bit of a breather, I suppose. So yeah, that was that. And there was a lot of things I didn't do right because I had changed some settings on my OBS. And so I was like, oh shit, that's not right. This is not right. So I had to change on the fly, like literally on the fly. So I hope the audios and everything is well. I think it is well overall. I just, usually I keep them also on separate tracks, but this one probably was not on separate tracks. I don't know. So I have to like double check, open Premiere Pro and see what has actually happened before I go crazy about it. But yeah, that's something that I had to change on the fly. I was literally looking at the settings while also talking to her. So it was while also recording, like it was recording and I was talking and I was also changing settings on my OBS at the same time. So I was doing all of that and I completely forgot that. So in OBS, if you're streaming and if you change profiles, like I've made a different profile, you can make different profiles that will change the setting. So in one profile, you can have a 1080p video, in the other profile you can set it as a 4K video, for example. But I forgot to change all the other video settings, and I didn't realize that those video settings also changed. They go to default. So I did not realize that, and I had to like immediately like, oh gosh, I had to change all these things. But anyway, figured it out. Hopefully it all works out. I will just if anything did not work out, I'll just figure it out. So might be a little bit more on the editing side of things, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. I was a little bit exhausted, I think, mentally, a little bit. So having coffee. That's why I was a little bit exhausted. I think I did a lot. I just did like I was doing a lot one after the other. So I didn't take much break. So I was just literally from 10:30 till 7. I was just nonstop doing something. Without any breaks. I mean, I did take a break, but like there was a half an hour break maybe. And then after like kept on going. So there was like a number of things I was doing. So I maybe got exhausted because of that. I don't know. But regardless, I did take some time to take a 15 minutes break, a rest, shut eye, and then come back here. But yeah, a lot has been happening overall in video games. I'm actually excited for some games that's coming up. Actually, this week, there's a few games coming out this week itself. I am looking forward to one of those games actually, technically, which is it's a horror game that I'm a big fan of. So I'm looking forward to that one. But I'll be talking about those in just a second. I wanted to talk about some of the other things that has been happening in the world of video games. It's kind of bizarre the things that's going on. A lot of news, a lot of conversations in the world of video games. So that's another one. Let me start off with the first kind of news that we got to see. So is that the one? Yeah, okay. So there has been a kind of an initiative that has been launched a few weeks back. I think it's probably been a few weeks. There was an initiative called Stop Killing Games petition, which is raised by done by a European from someone from Europe, like a content creator, I think he did that or something like that. There was a petition. I'm not sure who did it exactly, but there's a petition started by someone called Stop Killing Big Games. Basically, any games right now, a lot of video games have been shut down from out of nowhere. There's a game called Crew, which is the screenshot here. The Crew has been basically shut down. Sorry for the advertisements, but the Crew has basically been shut down from Ubisoft. It's a Ubisoft racing game, and that was been completely shut down. Can we just? It was completely shut down. So that game, which came out like in 2017, I think, which is a racing game. It's an online only game. And so Ubisoft decided to kill the game last year. Decided to, nobody can buy that game anymore. Nobody can play that game anymore. Like that was a thing that they did. So anybody who bought the game, who spent money on that game, they will not be able to play that game at all. So that was something that Ubisoft did last year. I think it was last year. And a lot of people there was a lot of backlash regarding that. So people wanted that game. People wanted a way to play that game if they wanted to. Like if they wanted to, they would like to play that game, but Ubisoft decided to completely remove it. And that's why there was a thing called Stop Killing Games, because a lot of publishers are doing that, where they're delisting some games, either because they're not selling that well, or there's not a lot of people are playing it. So they just delist the game, remove it from the stores, and that's been happening. So the game preservation no longer exists. So this initiative, Stop Killing Games, was basically an initiative only in Europe, where anybody from Europe can sign up, and based on a petition, you can actually they can actually make a change. And the idea was that the European government, I believe, so would be able to kind of go with this idea of like give publishers the reason to keep the games, even though they're not performing that well, just to keep the games on store, especially the online games, to keep them running and to keep them, and not to delist them and remove them from the store. So that was the idea for the game, for the petition. But there was a lot of signing, a lot of people signed up, and they got a lot of, I just hate the advertisement. They got a lot of signups. I think 1 million people signed up for this. You can just sign up anywhere, but it's only for Europe people. And so Ubisoft themselves confronted in a basic shareholder meeting on what Stop Killing Games, what it would be. So basically, it's like stopping publishers from being able to destroy games that they have sold to customers, which was started by The Crew. There's another game that came out earlier this month. Actually, it's a game called Steel Hunters, if I can search that up. It's a game called Steel Hunters, which did not get a lot of attention, unfortunately, but it has also been shut down. I think in few... Why is there no news? There was a news on that. There we go. The game is also being shut down in 3 months of early access. The game literally launched 3 months ago, and 3 months ago, after the launch of the game, because there was like 600 people playing it, I think like that. So if I go to SteamDB and if I go to Steel Hunters, I think there were like 4,000 people total playing it, and there's a lot of ads. So there were like 4,000 total people playing it when the game launched 3 months ago in early access, and only 71 people are playing it right now. Right now 55, and only 71 people. This is only on Steam. This game is only on Steam, 4,000 people. And so in 3 months, it's been 3 months before this game came out. And so now in October, this game is going to be shut down completely, which is another unfortunate thing that a lot of people, like this studio, has also had to shut down a game, no longer be able to be played. But they made it, and they're doing all the content that they wanted to do. Like all the content that they already planned, they are still going to release that. But by October 8th, the game is going to be no longer playable, and you cannot play the game at all. I think it was a free-to-play game, but you cannot no longer play it. So this is one of those things. Ubisoft also has been doing a few things, but Ubisoft, the Crew shutdown sparked a backlash, including legal action, and led to Ubisoft. Yeah, this is very cool. Like the Crews had to shut down the game, and then it was such a big backlash that it included a legal action and forced Ubisoft to have a offline mode for the Crew 2, which is what they were focused on. So there's a game called Crew 2 and Crew Motorfest. So they took away the Crew because they were like, okay, let's focus on Crew 2. That was their idea. let's remove crew and just keep on focusing on crew 2. But what happened is the crew 2 does not have an offline mode, so the Ubisoft then had to make an offline mode for the game, for both these games. But recently, right now, Ubisoft CEO was questioned by someone about the Stop Killing movement, and he said, he's the CEO, and he said some questionable things to been talking about. He says that regarding the petition, we operate in a market, and let me just zoom in if you can. And whenever we release a game, we provide a lot of support for that game. We also provide a lot of services to make sure that the game is accessible and remains playable 24/7. I'm gonna do something about this fucking ad because it's annoying. But basically, he's been talking about how there has been no there's no basic idea of how we can kind of remove this or fix this. There will be problems, and there will be market issues, and we will probably have to remove some of the games that are not working out anymore. So basically, they wanted to say that some of the games might be delisted, and that's the reality, and that's how things are going to be. And basically his idea of saying, yeah, sure, you signed the petition, we can't do anything about it anyway. So it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, well, that's not the best idea. He basically had that to say most of the time. So let me just see if I can. Okay. So he said, regarding the petition, we operate in a market, and whenever we release a game, we provide a lot of support for that game. We also provide a lot of services to make sure that the game is accessible and remains playable. So we provide information regarding the game and how long the game can be played, and players and buyers are forewarned that eventually the game may be discontinued. So according to him, that anybody who's playing the game, they already have the information that on how long the game can be played, and already are being warned that the game might be discontinued. Like, it's already written. Basically, when you accept the terms and conditions, it should be mentioned there that it will be discontinued and stuff like that. So it's like we have already talking about it, that it will be discontinued. So I don't know what's happening. On the crew, Guillermo noted that Ubisoft launched a 2-week promotion in 2024 that offered the sequel for just $1 across multiple marketplaces, and also announced the plans to make the game available offline in future. So this is an issue that we've been dealing with. But this kind of issue is not specific to Ubisoft. All video games and publishers are faced with that issue. You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point, the services may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal. And we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers, because obviously, support for all games cannot last forever. But that's an issue that we're working on. That's something that the industry at large is working on to minimize impact on players. But clearly, that's something you need to factor in. The lifespan of a piece of software, whenever there's a service component, eventually services may be discontinued, because eventually the software may be obsolete over time, may become obsolete over time. A lot of tools become obsolete 10 to 15 years down the line. They're no longer available, and that's why we release a new version. And so we have version 2 and then version 3. But clearly, this is a far-reaching issue, and we're working on it. So as the petition has launched 1.4 million signatures, so it's like basically the Video Games Europe group has been kind of responding to it on that. But yeah, basically Guillaume, the CEO of Ubisoft, basically says that there is a lot of we cannot really provide continued support for a game, especially with a live service game, a game which is always online. The Crew is a game that was mostly like always online. The Crew 2 is also that, where you have to play the game when you're online. You cannot play the game offline. Now they have an offline mode, but like I think they have an offline mode. But the Crew, that game specifically, is only online, so you cannot no longer play that game if you're offline. So he has been talking about how there are a lot of these games where you cannot really play a video game if it's been out there for like 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. Some of the things gets older, like some of the things, the versions that we have newer versions, and then we have to fix that, but it takes a lot more time, a lot more effort, and things becomes obsolete. So discontinuation of a software or a version has to happen because of those things. And I feel like I understand that idea as well. But at the same time, I feel like there might be a way to just have an offline version, at least, instead of completely removing the game from the list. Like especially for the Crew, which was removed, that the idea was like, oh, the game is no longer working, in the sense of like the game is not getting any more players. At the same time, we have to invest a lot of money to keep the servers online and all that stuff, and have to keep on, because a team has to work on the game's backend to make sure the servers are running on like perfectly. And for other games, there are no hackers and stuff like that. So those things are there. And so that is one of those things that they have to spend a lot of money on. Obviously, they have to spend some amount of money and some team members to have to work on this game. Now, if a game came out 15 years ago and it's an online game, then and people are playing for online purposes, then that game, they have to make sure that the servers are running. They have to make sure that servers in that version are running, because it's an older version. So they have to make sure that is working on. And 15 years now, at this point, a game that is 15 years old, that version of the game and the way they were running servers then is different. And now they have moved forward. So things are different at that point. So I understand in that level, it would be very hard for me to understand, for anybody to really understand, like, how do you even focus on that? For a game, for example, a game that I play sometimes, I haven't played in a while, but for example, Call of Duty is a game I played a lot. And so all the Call of Duty games have the multiplayer component. It also has a single player component, which is offline. But there's a multiplayer component, which means you require an internet connection. You need to be online. So for a game which came out in 2007, I think, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that game came out in 2007. And the way the servers were set up then versus the way the servers are set up now are completely different. So if anybody has to keep that game online, they have somebody from the Activision team have to assign some people to work on those side of things and make sure those servers are running well and people are still playing the game, because there might be some people that are still playing the game, a 2007 game. So and that is harder, because then you have to go to an older version of things, and then you have to make sure that that is happening. But at the same time, especially for a studio like Ubisoft, or even for a studio like Activision, they have so much investment. Activision, for example, had in the new Call of Duty, they had a collaboration with some animated, I don't remember the show name, but an animated show, very known show, I'm forgetting it. And they had a collaboration with them. And so the characters from that animated show are now in Call of Duty game, which is a military-based game with realism. And then they have these cartoon characters coming along. So they are doing that and getting all of this money, all of this income, all of this revenue. And they can at least do a little bit to the other games. So similarly, Ubisoft is getting a lot of, Ubisoft is not doing that well in terms of revenue. They're kind of losing it. But at the same time, they could do at least an offline mode for a game, especially for games like Crew and Crew 2, which they have added. But for the Crew, they didn't. And it's now gone. So nobody can play that game anyway. If anybody, at that time, the Crew came out, I don't know when the Crew game, I think. Let me see. So the Crew, the first game came out in 2014. Not that long ago. But in 2014, that game came out. And it's almost 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And it was fine, but at the same time, there would be people who want to play this game just by themselves. Just the fact that they paid for the game, they should be able to play it. There's a reason why a lot of people are talking about the physical editions of the game, because in a physical edition, if you go to some older games, you can just insert a disc and play the game. That's just how it is. You just insert the disc and there you are, you're playing the game. But now with digital-only games, the games that are only sold digitally, it's much harder, because at any point in time, the studio can just zip it off and you can no longer play the game, especially with the Crew, because the Crew, I think, did not have a physical version. So people can only play digitally. And especially even if you had a physical version, you had to be online. So now the game is not there. So even if you insert a disc, you cannot play it. So that game's preservation thing goes away. So it still is basically Ubisoft CEO is kind of ignoring it in some ways. Sure, that he says that they are still figuring out a way to do it, but he gave a long explanation of basically how there are old versions and things are old versions, and you have to go for the new versions, and we cannot really work through that, and games will eventually die and things will get eventually obsolete, and that is already mentioned in a disclaimer. But still, it didn't happen with some older games. Like if I wanted to play I don't know, if I wanted to play a Prince of Persia game, for instance, I can, if I had a disc version, I can just insert the disc and there you go, I can play it. There are some games that are not available digitally, but if there was a physical edition of the game available, if I had it, I can play it. And you can buy those physical edition of the game. But there are literally certain games that you cannot find anywhere else. There's a game called, oh my God, forgetting. Oh, I think Spec Ops The Line is a game, I think so, is no longer available to play which is one of the best games out there, but it's no longer available to play. Nobody can buy it at all from any stores. I think that's one of the games. There's few games that you just cannot buy, which existed at one point in time. Physical versions will be harder to buy. You get like scalped versions. You get like a very high expensive versions. So you just cannot buy it anymore. So that is just an unfortunate thing that is happening in the world of video games, where there's no any kind of preservation or any measures to preserve a game, and that is just hampering whatever's happening with the world of video games. And so that is why the Stop Killing Games petition exists, but even the signatures are probably not helping it that much, even though a lot of people signed on it. But only if official actions have been taken, then something can happen. And I don't know, there are other studios might focus on it, but the bigger studios might not. And so I don't know how that's going to go. That's one of the things that people might need to take a look on. The crew had a... Hey, Brisk or something, how's it going? The crew had a physical copy. Ubisoft's ULA states that if game is taken down, you must destroy the physical copies as well. Wow, that is ridiculous. Okay, so the crew did have a physical copy. And it's just a ridiculous thing. Like, if you have a physical copy, you can no longer play the game, even if you have a physical copy. I don't know. Like, so the Crew is a Ubisoft game, racing game. I used to play Need for Speed a lot, and I used to have a disc version. If I wanted, and NFS Most Wanted is what I played a lot. NFS Most Wanted was purely single player. There was a multiplayer aspect of it, but it was purely single player, single player and multiplayer. So if you had a disc, you can just play the single player. You just can. It was not taken away, and even if it was taken away from stores, which it is originally, you still can play the game. If you can insert the disc, you can play the game. There has been, I don't think so there's been any Need for Speed game that you cannot play without physical disc. Like, even if the game was taken away, you can still play it. I think maybe it's wrong, it's changed. But it's just one of those things where Brisk mentioned how a physical version already exists, a physical disc already exists, and you just cannot play it, which is just so unfortunate. I just hate the fact that, because so many of these games, especially multiplayer specific game, and even aside from multiplayer specific games, there was one more game called Anthem, which a lot of people did not like when it came out. It's made from EA. It's a third-person action game which came out a while ago, and not many people liked it. Very less amount of people liked it, and so, which is fine. Like, I get it. The game was not that great. The game wasn't the very best. Let me show you how it was. But the game was not the very best, but it still did something pretty good. I think the gameplay was all right, nothing too crazy. If I can show, there's the gameplay. Okay, the gameplay was not too crazy, like, and nothing really did much with this game, and there were a lot of issues with the game, and people didn't like the combat that much. People didn't like a lot of things that much, and this is just this is, I think, a presentation, a gameplay reveal. Is it a gameplay here? Yeah. So the presentation and the way the game looked is amazing, but you know, it didn't do that much. Eventually, the game had repetitiveness, and there's a lot of issues with the game in general. So people didn't like it. And it did flying very well. It did a lot of these things very well, but it was repetitive and it was not the very best. The game has been shut down. It is no longer available. You cannot play this game. You cannot buy this game. Anybody who has this game, I think, cannot play this game. Or I think it's just delisted at the moment. So you cannot get this game in any way, shape, or form, because it's been taken away from all the stores. The server is going to be shut down, and it was supposed to be like a co-op multiplayer-ish game, but mostly co-op game. And so this game is being shut down right now. In a few days, it'll be shut down. So it's one of those games that is one of the second casualty, which is just been it. While it did not get a lot of attention, while it did not get a lot of positivity around it, it still was a game. Like, it still is a game that existed, that people created by EA in EA, and it's still, like, if anybody wanted to still play it, they still cannot play it because it's been taken away. So that's just one of those things where it's one of those stories where, okay, things are just not going so well. I think for a big studio like Ubisoft, providing a single player free roam before taking another server shouldn't be exactly like, it should not be a huge issue to just have this offline mode. But I don't know why they didn't do that. They had to do that for Crew 2, which they should be doing in any multiplayer game. Like, especially for a game like a racing game, which is Crew 2 or Crew, It's a racing game, like an open world offline mode makes sense for a game like, and that's why I had this argument a little bit earlier, like for a game like which is Call of Duty style game, which is, or something like this Anthem, which relies on a co-op game, otherwise you cannot play it. I would argue like maybe you can have like a solo only version where you play solo, where you play alone, unless you make a game which is only playable with co-op. For example, a game like Split Fiction, which is only co-op. But even for a game like Split Fiction, that studio Hazelight, if you play a game A Way Out, that is their first game that came in 2015, I think. If you play the game A Way Out, you can still play the game. Because it's a co-op game, you can just, online co-op can happen. You can still do all of that. And they have not taken that down. So it's just the fact, like, they should at least do some things to make sure that some of these things work. And continue to work, even though if the game is not, didn't perform that well. Because now the game is gone and then nobody can get the chance to even try the game out. Maybe 15 years later they want to try the game out. Why not? They should have the opportunity, especially if they own the game. They should have the opportunity to play the game because they own it. They spend some money on it, but unfortunately that didn't happen for, I mean, at least that didn't happen for the Crew game, and Ubisoft is still talking about how it is eventual, it is inevitable, these things will happen. And so that is one of those things that I'm like, really, is that so? But the next thing, speaking of Ubisoft, there's another thing that Ubisoft has been doing, and apparently it's a brand new game that they'll be working on, and it's a brand new Ghost Recon game. So apparently in a recent, again, this is based on a meeting, they had a annual meeting that happens in Ubisoft, they had that. So the CEO and CFO had a few questions from shareholders, and in one segment mentioned the success of Rainbow Six Siege as an example for its ability to make live service games. The CEO said, in addition to flagship game that I just mentioned, our objective is to also make strong progress in growing market, generally speaking, by continuing to enhance our current experiences that we offer and capitalizing on upcoming launches such as The Division and Ghost Recon. Let me put my camera over here. So he's talking about how live service games with especially with Rainbow Six Siege is working so well, and it's been going on for a long time, Rainbow Six. Ubisoft will spend the investment it received from Tencent, which Tencent has been also funding, as part of its creation of a new subsidiary. They're going to make a new subsidiary where apparently Ubisoft CEO's son is already a part of it. Part of the investment, he said, will be used for future development of other major brands. So we've got Ghost Recon is just one example for our first-person shooter type games. So Ghost Recon, I have not played Ghost Recon games in a while. The last game I played was Advanced Warfighter. But there were two Ghost Recon games, that is Ghost Recon Breakthrough and Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and Ghost Recon another one. So there were two of these games. Ghost Recon, I think it was Breakpoint and Wildlands. Those are the two games that came out, and I think Breakpoint was the last game that came out. These two games was the last games, and Ghost Recon has not had a new game. So it was a third-person shooter game, Ghost Recon, forever. It has never been a first-person game. It has always been a third-person game. So, and it has not been out yet. Tencent is now a leading part of the game. Tencent has now invested in Ubisoft. So they have done that, and they have a new subsidiary for Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. Completely new thing. They're moving on to a different thing. And it's a Tencent-backed Ubisoft now. The Ubisoft projects will be backed by Tencent. So Ghost Recon is what they're mentioning, that they have a new Ghost Recon game in the works, because he said future development of other major brand names. So we have got Ghost Recon is just one example for a first-person shooter type games, which again is weird because Ghost Recon is not a first-person shooter, it's a third-person shooter. So that led to believe that Ghost Recon, the new Ghost Recon game, might be a first-person shooter game, and it might be coming back. So Breakpoint was the last game, which was not a commercial hit. According to Ubisoft, Ubisoft thought that it was a disappointment. Let me take a look at this. After a rough launch, Ubisoft promises to improve after a rough launch, and I think they termed that it was a disappointing in sales and poor reception, which it did. It was not that widely received. It was mixed received. There was mixed opinions. There was 58 and 63 on Metacritic scores, which is not good. 80s and 80 plus, 75 plus is a good score. It's 58 and 63, not really good. And some people have mixed opinions, but it looks very good. It performs very well. People had mixed opinions. The game launched in a very weird state. At the same time, I heard that I have not played the game, so but I've heard that it launched at a very bad state and then it got improved. But again, that was the last Ghost Recon game, and Ubisoft obviously sees that as like that was a disappointing thing, and we have to do something about it. So it delayed a few games at the time. Another project, the planned live service Ghost Recon game, was also cancelled before launch. So they had a live service Ghost Recon game, which is called Ghost Recon Frontline, which they were working on. I remember this. And they cancelled the Ghost Recon Frontline. They also cancelled Splinter Cell VR and 2 more games. It was a big one when Ubisoft decided to cancel a bunch of games. And that was kind of weird. Hold on. Why is my mouse not working again? They canceled a bunch of games. Ghost Recon Frontline was supposed to be a battle royale game that saw 4 groups of 4 players teaming up to face more than 100 players across a large map. Which I don't know why they wanted to make a battle royale game, especially when these games are not really working right now. But they wanted to make a battle royale game. And it, the game's announcement was met with a significant backlash, which caused Ubisoft to delay and eventually cancel a planned playtest. So they canceled it because of the backlash, which I don't understand why Ubisoft even greenlit this project. Regardless, Ubisoft had Breakpoint, not a big start, not a big reception. And then they made a live service Ghost Recon game, which they greenlit, decided to make it, and didn't even realize that battle royale games probably will not work, and then they had to cancel it. And so now they're working on apparently a new Ghost Recon game. And they said that Ghost Recon is an important and beloved brand for Ubisoft, and our players and we look forward to sharing more when the time is right. So there's going to be a new Ghost Recon game. The last Ghost Recon game was Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It was a fine game, but it was nothing that was really that good. And I have played the last Ghost Recon game was the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, which is a much older game. But at the time I played it, and it's a military shooter style game, and I think you can play in a co-op, or you can play solo. I think you can play in co-op, and it has a very good. The environment looks good. There's more grittiness to the game, especially in Breakpoint. It's more gritty. It's really fun. It looks really good. I never tried the game. It looks very good. It plays pretty good. It plays pretty well, but it didn't do that well when the game kind of eventually came out. And this game, I think, came out like 5 years ago. So it's kind of unfortunate that game didn't work so well. So let me even show how that looks like if my internet works today. But it's just one of those things where some things just didn't work, and it's just unfortunate that Ubisoft is just not doing well at all with their games. It's just they're just making it worse. So this is how the game actually looked like, the last Ghost Recon game. I'm not putting any music here or volume. I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. But this is the last Ghost Recon game, and it looks like this surely, but not exactly this way. This is one of the missions. I think if I go kind of a little forward, we might be seeing more things. But it basically was a very gritty third-person shooter game. It looked very good, as I said, but a lot of people did not play this game for that long. But you could actually do these things where you can actually lie down on the ground in the mud to take out some people, which is pretty good. When the gameplay dropped, I thought like, oh, this is very good. But some people just didn't like it, and there was issues, there were performance issues, there was a lot of bugs here and there. So those things happen, obviously, so people didn't like it. And it's a group game. Like basically you have a team of people, then you have to plan it. You can go from one location to the other. So it's a longer, like it's a big map, as you can explore this big, huge map. It is a first person here, but it's never been a first person. It's mostly been third person like this. So you can either aim in third person or you can aim through the scope with a first person view, but you can never do a first person in general. And this is basically different players playing differently. So you can play as different players and stuff like that. So this could have worked. Surprisingly didn't. I don't know why it didn't work, but I wish it did. But anyway, a new Ubisoft's Ghost Recon game, which you have to wait and see what's happening over there. I would love to see what they would do, because I like Ghost Recon. I have not played in a while, but I do like Ghost Recon. The other game that is also been coming out, which it's widely out there, EA has already announced it, that there's a new Battlefield game, and apparently there will be a new event for Battlefield 6. A reveal event will be July 31st in the COD Next style event. So COD Next is an event that happens for any new Call of Duty game. Basically, they do a 1 or 2 day event or 3 day event where they reveal the new Call of Duty. Whatever the new Call of Duty is, they reveal that new Call of Duty game. So in that they showcase, they have a few like streamers or content creators in this one particular place. They all are playing in this PC. They all record a multiplayer side of the match. They show the multiplayer side of things. They also show some single player aspects of it. So it's basically showing everything that the game will have, and that is called COD Next. Apparently, Battlefield 6 is supposed to be revealed in the same way this month, apparently on July 31st, in a COD Next style event. Before I go towards that, Brisk asks, what about Sands of Time Remake? Sands of Time Remake, I think, is still being worked upon. I think there was a... Let me check that. I think there was a... Oh, there was a tweet by like Prince of Persia that they were like, we're still working on it. So at this point, they're just basically still working on it. And a lot of people have questions about that. And I also have questions like, where is it? But I think they tweeted about it. I have to take a look and find out where it was. But they made an image tweet that we exist and it is still happening. If I can actually find the exactly, I think they just posted a tweet or something. Oh, there's apparently an update. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, so there's something over here. Recently, the official Twitter account of the game confirmed to the fans that the remake was still in development. I think this was a tweet that they made. Oh my god, yeah, this is the one. So this is the tweet that they made some time ago, last month. Basically, yep, you're still deep in the game, exploring, building, and ensuring the sands move with purpose. This game is being crafted by a team that truly cares, and they're pouring their hearts and a lot of coffee into every step. So they are still working on the game. That was the update a month ago, that they're still working, because there was no update, obviously, so they wanted to put that out there. Back in May, Ubisoft's earnings report revealed that Sands of Time Remake's release was set for March 31st, 2026. So that's a placeholder, I believe, which is March 31st next year. So I think that's basically what it is. They have probably in their reports, basically, that they have put a date, a placeholder date that will probably change depending upon how it is. But if there will be anything official, they will definitely release a trailer about it. And I would love to see that. So there's that. There's no option for Splinter Cell Remake also was announced. No idea what's happening over there. But there is a hopeful idea that Splinter Cell might be coming on March 31st, 2026. Again, a placeholder. We still have no updates. But they're still working on it. So essentially, that is definitely happening. But anyway, moving on to Battlefield. It seems like there's been interesting reporting. So following what has been an interesting 24 hours of Battlefield community, Insider Gaming has learned that Battlefield 6 will have its official reveal on July 31st. According to sources familiar with the plans of Battlefield 6 reveal, content creators and media have been invited to play Battlefield 6 from July 29th to July 31st. So it has been claimed that this is a month-old thing. But I've confirmed with another person that there is indeed a 3-day EA event starting on July 29th. This is where Battlefield 6 will be revealed. Devs will be interviewed in a somewhat fixed format, and the game will be featured with content creators. The open beta will launch. So this is that. This is based on someone who leaked that information, essentially. So 29th to 31st, 3-day event. It's going to be Battlefield 6 reveal with a Call of Duty Next style event. Basically, they see this as because Call of Duty has been doing this Call of Duty Next, showing the game, and that's been a success for Call of Duty. So Battlefield is like, or EA is like, we should do that too. And is it how it's understood that the event will be somewhat akin to a COD Next, given how the next game is shipping up to replicate Call of Duty's franchise success. The event is set to take place from July 29th for 2 days behind closed doors, allowing content creators and media to get hands on the game. Then on July 31st, Battlefield 6 will be officially revealed to the world with the gameplay, developer interviews, and more. Oh, so this is okay. It should be streamed if that's happening. As for the promotional care package, there was a care package that was also leaked yesterday. Somebody got a promotional care package, and they took a photo and then they posted it. I think they posted it and they had to delete it because they were not supposed to post it. So it's a deleted post. Basically, the person got a Battlefield 6 care package created. Got a Battlefield 6 care package. It has ribbon says Breakthrough, Conquest. I don't know what PTFO is, but Conquest and Breakthroughs are 2 game modes in Battlefield. So these 2 modes, and I don't know what PTFO is. And there's another one, I think Conquest. PTFO, I don't know. Rush, I think this is, I don't know what PTFO is, but like basically these are the game modes, and it's Battlefield 6, so it's called Battlefield 6 apparently. From here that people got to know, okay, it's going to be called Battlefield 6. So that care package got revealed. Okay, so Conquest, Breakthrough, and Rush will be 3 game modes, but the post has been deleted. So that was that. Somebody got that, and so a lot of people obviously expect it to be. It's currently unclear whether Battlefield 6 free-to-play game mode will be revealed. So there's apparently a free-to-play game mode as well, but it's expected that we'll learn about the game's release, beta dates, and more. So one of the things that's happening with Battlefield 6 is they are EA, who's making Battlefield 6. They are doing a testing for the game for the past few months. They have been doing this Battlefield Labs, where people get invite. I have not got an invite. I did register for it. I never got an invite, but people have gotten invites for the game. They're basically alpha testing, or like basically testing the next Battlefield game, and so people can play this multiplayer game and test the game, give feedback, and all that stuff. That was supposed to be an NDA thing. So people signed an NDA basically saying that they will not be talking about the game anywhere. They cannot post any screenshots online, no videos online. They cannot really talk about it in any online platform. Guess what happened? Everybody did exactly that. They shared everything, images, all the videos. People recorded the videos and they posted it online. It's all available on Twitter, on Reddit. It's available everywhere. People have posted all the gameplays for the next Battlefield game, even though they signed the NDA. And EA, the studio, the company, is not doing anything about it. They're not taking those videos down. Actually, they have taken some videos down, but there's so many videos that they're not really doing much of an effort to take those videos down. So Battlefield 6 is definitely coming, and there will be apparently this COD Next style event, which is very interesting because Battlefield has never done that. That this company has never done for Battlefield games. It has never done an event showcasing Battlefield as they're like bringing content creators in, because Call of Duty did that because of the fact that a lot of people play Warzone from Call of Duty, and you know, people obviously like Call of Duty, but it's a very different sort of audience, and Battlefield has a different sort of audience. So I am curious whether Battlefield will be more Call of Duty in the sense of how it plays, because I don't want that. Battlefield has always been very different as compared to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is such a fast-paced game, very fast-paced games, whereas Call of Duty has been fast-paced. Cannot even understand what I'm saying. Fast-paced, the amount of time you get to kill a person or whatever, like the time to kill amount is very small. But in Battlefield, it's more grittier. It's a long, big map, huge map, a plethora of weapons. You have vehicles, you have characters, and it's more like a sandbox. It's more of a sandbox game. So it's a much different kind of game, objective based. Call of Duty is completely different. So these are two very different games, and I hope that EA is not making Battlefields like Call of Duty to get the success that Call of Duty is getting, which, to be honest, Call of Duty is not getting a lot of success. Call of Duty right now is getting a lot of negativity because there has been this weird collaborations that they're doing. But Call of Duty, Activision, the company who's making Call of Duty, they're getting a lot of money with these collaborations, and they're very weird collaborations. But they have been doing such insane collaborations with the game that people don't like it in any way, shape, or form. But you know, some people are playing it. Obviously, a lot of people having a good time with that, and still, like, even though a lot of people are having that good time, there's a lot of people who are not having a good time. So there are a lot of people who are like, oh, Call of Duty has just effed up, and they are completely dying and stuff like that. So it's just a weird thing. Another thing that I just saw, which is very weird by Call of Duty, they're getting a I Know What You Did Last Summer crossover, which is a new game. And also a new movie that came out, where this killer who's killing people based on... basically it's the story of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Is a group of people are in an accident. They do an accident, then they hide the body of the person, and they never talk about it. But there's someone who sends them a letter that he knows what they did last summer, and he's killing them. And Activision is, to celebrate that, is doing a new crossover event with the movie, which makes no sense because he is a killer. And Call of Duty is supposed to be military shooter game. And in a military shooter game, like a character like the fisherman who runs with a knife. Makes no sense, but there it is. They're doing that, and they've done some even more bizarre ones. This is all right, but they've done some really bizarre ones. So Call of Duty is not in the best space right now because they've completely changed the game. So I hope Battlefield 6 is good. Winchester was going, they want to be Fortnite so bad. I think so, yeah. They want to do Fortnite stuff, which is Fortnite is doing it because I feel like Fortnite does it and it makes sense. Fortnite is doing all of these things because it makes complete sense for Fortnite to do. I don't know what was the last collaboration of Fortnite was. I forgot, but Fortnite is able to do that because, again, when you see that game, I feel like, yeah, that makes sense because the world of Fortnite is so different. The world of Fortnite is none of it is been taken seriously. It's a very sci-fi world, and it's very different. It's cartoonish, kind of cartoonish, and something like that. So it's never been that, like, it makes sense for them to do that. They're doing apparently a Simpson collaboration, which is very interesting. But they have done these collaborations, which, you know, it kind of makes sense for them to do the collaboration. I know they're doing a Fantastic Four collaboration. Again, makes perfect sense for them. They have done already Silent Hill collaboration. I think they have done Alan Wake collaboration. They do video game collaborations a lot. They're now doing a Fantastic Four collaboration, which is, and I like that. They have done some pretty cool things with, you know, all these collaborations. They have having concerts in the game as well, which is nuts. Like the way that game has done some things, it's amazing. And there's a reason why they've done some things. So it's just pretty cool that they get to do that, but they get to do that because that game is that way. If there's a game, for example, I don't know, not every games get to do that. And Call of Duty can do that in a different way. I feel like if Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is set in a specific world, in a specific setting, which is modern, like war setting, military shooter. So now you have to do collaboration that makes sense in that world. You cannot do collaboration with Simpsons. It makes no sense, but they did that. So you have to make collaborations with a military shooter, with a military movie. For example, I know there's a movie that called Warfare that came out. They could have done a collaboration with that movie, because it is a military shooter movie. Like it's military. It's based on war. So you can bring that. They had Ballerina, someone from like the character from Ballerina come in, which kind of makes sense because it is still she's an agent. The character is an agent in the John Wick movies. She's an agent. She's going through contracts. It makes sense in some way. It does make sense for me. John Wick comes along. It makes sense that he would be there. But I would not bring, I don't know, Captain America, or not Captain America. I would probably not be bringing Ant-Man. It just makes no sense. Why is Ant-Man there? So it should make sense to bring Punisher in from Marvel, because, yeah, I mean, dude has been in the military. Like, there's some things that they could have done to make it relatable to the game, but it's just so weird. I think COD can also have other collabs like Fortnite, but the cosmetic needs to be something that makes sense. And so, exactly. Instead of putting characters in, and as I said, like, they can be Fortnite-ish, but not exactly Fortnite. Fortnite is able to do that because they have created a setting which is very different, which is very vibrant. And because it's so vibrant, they can bring in all these different things. But they can never do a military style thing. For example, they can never bring a military character into the game. Sometimes they can. They brought God of War in there. It is again a very vibrant, comic-y style game. Call of Duty is not that. Call of Duty has always been with reality. And somehow they're missing it because they're like, oh, we can get so much money from this collaboration. We are already getting so much money from this collaboration. Let's continue these weird collaborations. And they're getting money. People are buying shit. People are doing stuff. People are playing these games, and they're getting a lot of attention. As long as people are, you know, younger audiences are getting their attention, they're getting to play the game, they're getting to buy these skins and battle passes, Activision will continue to do this. And I fear that Battlefield might head that way. And I don't want Battlefield to head that way because it's a game that I love. Battlefield is a great game, and I hope that they stick to what Battlefield truly is and keep it Battlefield and not something weird. That's just what I hope. And speaking of like games that people really like and people really still continue to play the game, it is basically From Software games. A lot of people love Souls games. They do. I just never play Souls game because I will never be able to do that. But From Software apparently is working on another Souls-like game, which could release, probably Souls-like game, which could release next year. They're working on another game, which is not announced yet. But yeah, they're making another game, which has been claimed. According to M First, which is like I think is a website basically, which claims that the Japanese developer has a game codenamed FMC at advanced stages of production, alongside an upcoming Switch 2 title, The Duskbloods and Elden Ring Night post-launch support. The Duskbloods is only coming on Switch, which is a From Software game, which is a surprise one when we saw the Switch 2 reveal. A Souls-like kind of game coming to only Switch. According to the publication, the unannounced game is likely to release no later than next year. It also conducted analysis into the unannounced title's codename, which it says is likely an abbreviation. It also notes that previously, code names starting with the letter F has been related to Dark Souls or Armored Core games. There's already been an Armored Core 6 that came out not so long ago. And Dark Souls has not seen a Dark Souls 4, but apparently there are speculations that there's a Dark Souls 3 remaster. So, and there could be Fires of Rubicon expansion for the Armored Core. So that could happen. It could be a new, not exactly a new Dark Souls game, but it could be a Dark Souls remaster based on what people expect, a Dark Souls 3 remaster, or it could be an Armored Core expansion. Hidetaka Miyazaki has claimed that the recently announced Switch 2 game exclusive doesn't mean that From Software is moving away from traditional single-player games. I've always found the PvPvE structure very interesting. It allows a broad range of game design ideas while also letting us leverage our experience of designing challenging enemy encounters. As a side note, please allow me to address one thing. As previously mentioned, this is an online multiplayer title at its core, but it doesn't mean that we as a company have decided to shift to a more multiplayer-focused direction with titles going forward. And also, there's an Elden Ring coming to Switch, which is crazy. Dark Souls 3 really doesn't need a remaster, but Dark Souls 1 remake would be amazing. I guess so, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Dark Souls 1 remake. I thought Dark Souls, I mean, people do play it in different ways, but I think, I don't know, like probably a lot less people have played Dark Souls 1. I don't know. I could be very wrong. Maybe a lot of people have played it. I have not. I have never played any Souls. I have tried Dark Souls 2 for like probably a couple hours. But I have not really given much attention to Souls game because that's not really my kind of a game. But there is a speculation right now that there is going to be a new game that might be coming out, not a new game, but might be coming out next year from Software, and they've made some great games. Elden Ring obviously was a good big one, and there is a Night Rain post-launch support that is also coming up. Duskblood is coming very soon. I think it's very soon. It's coming this year anyway. And so this new game could be a Dark Souls 3 remaster or an Armored Core expansion. I don't know. If they wanted to make a new game, I don't know if they will go with Dark Souls anymore. Maybe if the next new game would be Elden Ring's sequel, if they would do that. Elden Ring 2, I don't know if they would do that. Even though Elden Ring is much more closely related to Dark Souls in a way, with the world and everything. But Elden Ring's world is very different. So I don't know. Maybe this could happen. Who knows? That is something that they're working on. And we'll have to wait and see, because if they are announcing it, they will probably announce it next year. Or they could announce it at the Game Awards later this year in December. They might do that. From Software might even announce the game at the end of the year. If it is releasing next year, they have to announce this year. So the biggest event is the Game Awards. They might be announcing there. Gamescom is coming on August, which there are some announcements sometimes in Gamescom, but not a lot. So usually not. So maybe there will be no announcements there. But I think if there is an announcement, it would be probably at the Game Awards. We'll have to see. But the biggest thing that's happening in terms of video game news is, or the worst thing that's happening in video games right now, is with the game called Subnautica 2. I don't know if you guys know this, but Subnautica 2 is in the worst situation right now. I have the game. I think I have the game Subnautica. I never played Subnautica. I've not played a lot of games. But Subnautica 2 is a sequel of Subnautica, and the game studio is already in a lot of trouble. The people have been fired, and there is a lawsuit already in place. Hey Ali Gohar, love the channel, as I've been always looking for voice related videos. Hope to be a candidate you can interview in the future. Absolutely. If you're working towards voiceovers and being a part of video games or whatnot, keep pushing, man. And thank you so much for even watching these episodes and stuff like that. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much for being here even. I hope you're doing well. And you're talking about We were talking about some of the video game news and stories that's happening in this week or in the last week and this week as well. So one of the things that, and we are talking about Subnautica 2 because Subnautica 2 is in a bad state, that it's not really doing well. So Subnautica is being made by Unknown Worlds. That's the game that they made. And there's like, this is a very good breakdown of what's happening with the game. So Charlie Cleveland accidentally started Unknown Worlds in 2001, long time ago, when they were making Half-Life mods. And that led to him making Unknown Worlds. Technical director Max came on as an official studio co-founder in 2006. Inspired by Minecraft and burned out on mods, Unknown Worlds began working on the undersea open world exploration game, which is Subnautica, that got released in 2014. It was a big game, very beloved. Version 1, final version, it was released on early access. The final version was released in 2018. A lot of people play the game. A lot of people love the game. It's one of the best games out there. Another person, Ted, joined as studio executive team, freeing up Cleveland to focus on creative direction. So then Subnautica had its own spin-off, Below Zero, which attracted millions of players and established Unknown Worlds as a successful independent team. So the largest studios came sniffing. PUBG's publisher Krafton was the one who spent $500 million and purchased the studio Unknown Worlds. This is crazy. Of course, man, I find there's so many remakes occurring. Heard about Subnautica, and glad I work with more indies because there's less of these legal battles. Thanks for warm welcome, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, there are legal battles with this team right now. They're no longer independent, unfortunately. So Unknown Worlds was purchased by Krafton by $500 million. They spent this much money to purchase Unknown Worlds. Unknown Worlds already at this point very successful as an independent team and studio, made Subnautica, made its spin-off, and Below Zero, and it did very good. It got a lot of people. And so the acquisition, which is this is the most weirdest thing, the acquisition came with a promise of an additional payout of $250 million additional payout if Unknown Worlds hit certain performance goals by the end of 2025. This bonus is a critical piece, which definitely is a piece that made ridiculous stuff. So Bloomberg earlier, I think in June, had a very weird thing that he posted out later on. So in addition to leadership positions which were filled by Cleveland, Gill, and Maguire, which is like the leadership, these three people, Cleveland, Gill, and Maguire, are the three leaderships in the leadership position. Unknown Worlds had about 40 employees at the time of Krafton sale, and they received payouts of $50 million total, and over the following 2 years. This larger group was poised to receive as much as $25 million in 2025 performance-based earnout, which is based on this. $250 million was based on performance. So out of $250 million, $25 million was going to go to all the other employees of the company. With each person expecting a different amount, everybody expected a 6 to 7 amount figures. The remaining $225 million was reserved for Unknown Worlds leadership. Those three people, Cleveland, Gill, and Maguire, were supposed to get $225 million. But they say that they would have also intended to share a portion of their windfall with employees who weren't included in the bonus. So it would cover the headcount of 100 people. So 100 people would get even more money. $225 million would be divided to them. So they have filed a lawsuit at this point. We'll talk about it later. But in February 2024, the studio released Moonbreaker, a brand new game that did not do that well because it has microtransaction. Since then, the studio has been focused on Subnautica 2. That's a game that's coming out. The game was announced in 2024 with an early access window of 2025. And it's the second most wishlisted game on Steam after Hollow Knight Silksong, which is probably not going to come out. I think that game does not exist, I feel like. Anyway, so the first public notion that something was rotten between Unknown Worlds and Krafton came on July 2nd, literally this month, when Cleveland, Gill, and Maguire, three people in the top leadership team, were fired and replaced by former Callisto Protocol studio head Steve Papotsis. Three people from the leadership team of the company, where Cleveland was the one who actually made the company in the first place in 2001, they got fired by Krafton, the company who bought the studio. Krafton did not provide a reasoning at the time. Co-founders and original creators of Subnautica series involved in the game development, the company wishes them well. Nothing. They didn't really provide a reason why they were fired. They also didn't give any information on what happened to Subnautica 2. Is it coming out? Is it not coming out? So they just said that there was an official post by Unknown Worlds that the new leadership fully supports this process and is committed to meet their expectations. Cleveland, the guy who made the company in the first place, posted a blog post on July 4th reflecting on his time in the game development and shared his disappointment at Krafton's handling of his own company that he created, Unknown Worlds and Subnautica 2. You can see why for Max, the other two people, myself, the Unknown Worlds team, and for our community, the event of this week has been quite a shock. We know that the game is ready for early access release, and we know that you're ready to play it. And while we thought this was going to be our decision to make, at least for now, that decision is in the hands of Krafton. After all these years, to find that I'm no longer able to work at a company I started stings. Like, he literally started this company and now he's been fired. On July 9th, Krafton then decided to release an official announcement that they have delayed the early access launch and it's now coming out in 2026 instead. And then Bloomberg again reported the report about the performance-based bonus, which is the $250 million bonus that was nobody knew, but Bloomberg reported on the same day when the delay announcement was done. So Krafton immediately shared like a statement regarding that thing. So he says on July that straight up accused, Krafton has accused the fired leaders, the leaders who have been fired, of abandoning the studio in favor of personal creative pursuits, that they abandoned their studio to favor personal creative pursuits, specifically calling out Cleveland's film production company, which apparently he owns. It also threw shade at Moonbreaker and claimed the former bosses wanted a bonus payment for themselves. That's what Krafton, can you get away? Krafton is literally accusing that they wanted this payout for themselves, and that's why they were not focused on the game and the studio. Krafton made multiple requests to Charlie and Max to resume their role as game director, technical director, but both declined to do so. This is Krafton saying. In particular, following the failure of Moonbreaker, Krafton asked Charlie to devote himself to development of Subnautica 2. However, instead of participating in the game development, he chose to focus on a personal film project. Krafton believes that the absence of a core leadership has resulted in repeated confusion in the direction and significant delays in the overall project. The current early access version also falls short in terms of content volume. So it was the decision to fire them and delay the early access because according to them, there's not enough content. But according to the creators who have been fired, or the leaders, they said that it's ready for early access and it's ready to be played. So Cleveland, the guy who made the company, who has been fired, has filed a lawsuit against Krafton. The lawsuit is up, suing a multi-billion dollar company in a painful, public, and possibly protracted was certainly not on my bucket list, but this needs to be right. Subnautica has been my life's work, and I would never willingly abandon it or the amazing team that has poured our hearts into it. As for the idea that Max, Ted, and I wanted to keep it all for ourselves is totally untrue. The lawsuit wasn't unsealed until July 16th, but on July 15th, Bloomberg reported that Krafton now planned to extend the window for the bonus payment for another year, giving the studio more time to hit its goals. The publisher will also be reportedly advance a portion of a separate profit-sharing bonus pool to all Unknown Worlds employees. So according to Krafton, they will be giving more money to the other employees, which, based on how they fired these people. So, we're going to at least make sure that other people who are in the company are getting compensation. Complained that Cleveland and other Unknown Worlds leaders filed against Krafton. The lawsuit, unsealed on July 16, claims Krafton illegally fired the studio's head and delayed Subnautica 2 in order to avoid the bonus payments. It also provides a timeline of growing tensions between founders and Krafton this year, accusing the publisher of intentional sabotage. So this is a huge issue of the game, which the game was getting some updates and stuff like that. Now it has turned into a legal fight, a lawsuit, because Krafton just decided to fire its leaders, saying that they're not working on the game, which is crazy. So lawsuit claims that Krafton and Unknown Worlds had a respectful relationship until 2025 April, when Gil presented Krafton executive with the studio's positive revenue projections, which were made with the assumption that Subnautica 2 would hit early access. He was outlined the expected bonus payment under the agreement. When that happened, everything changed. The lawsuit reads. Interesting. It's insane, the things that's happening for this one. So on July 1st, they were fired. This is where the rest of us entered the story. because of potential. So all of this started basically with the idea of like, okay, we're gonna make that this whole thing began because Krafton wanted to give a $250 million bonus payment to the leaders and the team. Well, basically the leaders. $225 million at least would have gone to the leaders. It started from there. Um, and now it's in a very different position. Krafton blames the leaders that they're not working on the game. And the leaders say that we always wanted to work on the game because that's our game. We made it in the first place. So it's a very dark situation for this thing. Krafton, it could go either way. There will be a legal fight. I don't know how it's going to go, but Subnautica 2 is probably in danger, maybe. And at the same time, Subnautica 2 might have gotten some publicity in this way. Definitely got some publicity for this because of the lawsuit and what's happening. And it's going to go further beyond however long it goes, if it goes that long. So yeah, it's just for the people who are the leaders who have filed the lawsuit, at least Cleveland, who has filed a lawsuit. For him, he has lost the studio and he's definitely lost his IP. It's no longer his. So he doesn't have anything to lose, really. Other than, self-respect. He doesn't much have anything to lose. Krafton has a lot to lose. It's their studio, like the studio they bought, the amount of money that they wanted to give to the people who are working in the studio. So they have a lot to lose. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but it's definitely going to give some bonus marketing for a game like Subnautica 2. It's just how it is, unfortunately. Video games are in a very tough space. People are being fired left, right, and center. Krafton fired these people, but then there are other companies like Microsoft fired 9,000 people from their studio. Game studio were affected heavily. Game studio has been completely shut down. People have been fired. So video games, and at least working in video games, it's in a very bad spot. So a lot of like studios heads or whoever have been fired, they're creating their own independent studios and they're working on games that way instead of being hired by or acquired by another company. And so they're working mostly independently. Maybe that's how it's going to go later on, but right now it's in a very tough spot. And so hopefully no other studio at this point decides to get acquired by anyone. Just don't get acquired. Just stay independent. Do not get acquired. It's a very bad spot. So that's just how things have been in the video game world. It's just not in a good space. It's not in a very good space at all. But speaking of games, there's a lot of games coming up this month. I am excited to play some of them, at least one of them. There's a game called, first of all, there's a game called Luto. It's a first-person horror game. I played a demo of the game when it came out, I think earlier this year, or I think it was last year when I played the game. And so not a whole lot is there in the game, but it's basically a very simple game. So this was a gameplay that came out for So Much Tea. I know So Much Tea. Yeah, there's a gameplay that came out for this game. Hold on. So there's a cool narration going on in this game. Now, this is a first-person horror game. I'm not going to obviously show, but this is Luto. This game is coming out literally tomorrow on Steam. Horror game, very much like PT, Silent Hill PT. It looks very similar. When I played the demo, there was no narration. So apparently there will be narration in the game. When I played the demo, there was no narration. I think as far as I remember, there was no narration at all. But this game seems to have some narration. And it's a pure horror. It's a pure horror game, like the jump scare, possession, ghosts horror game. So you have like items to pick up, you have puzzles to solve, and it is the PT hallways, yes. And you have lights flickering, all that stuff. So you have this.
A torch. What a coincidence.
So we just didn't have any of these narrations because that just didn't exist. So it's just one of those things that I'm like, okay, because this game does not have characters per se. So there's just someone who's narrating. I don't know if this is going to stay that way, but I think we have these borders in the game. I'm not so sure. So it is a pure horror game. Picking up notes, very classic. Many horror games have done this. But it's a very interesting one because you also sometimes peek from something and it becomes something. Like this is a wonderful thing. I think there was a door in this game later on. There's a door that you find in a what do you call it? Like in a play,
He's trapped again.
in a toy or whatever. I'm
Anxious about
forgetting
how
it.
much time he'll have before
So basically, there's like a dollhouse, and he finds a door, and then he opens the door in the dollhouse, and the door is removed from the real life. Some weird stuff happens. I think it's later on in this game where you open the door in the dollhouse or something, and then the main door gets opened. Something like that. Yeah, there it is. Not a dollhouse. You and horror games. Here it is. So he opens this, and then he finds a door. Then he removes it, and the entrance door is now removed in real life. So if we go forward, there's no longer the entrance door. So it's a very fun, interesting game, and I feel like I love horror games. I'm a big fan of horror. So it's a fun and interesting game that I want to play, and it's coming out tomorrow on Steam. I don't know what the pricing is going to be, but that's that. There's another game called Wildgate that will be coming out as well, which is this multiplayer game. It looks pretty fun, but I don't know how this is going to be. It's a multiplayer game with a space kind of setting. So you have 3 people or 4 people in the game, and then you go do some things on space, and then you can fight other people as well. So it's a PvP VE game as far as I remember. Let me see if I can find the gameplay here. So as far as I remember, that's how it is. I am unsure exactly, but that's how I have seen the game. But yeah, it's a multiplayer game alone, or like only. So it's like something like this, but you have other characters and stuff like that. Basically team up, go on a space adventure, and you do some things, you do some objectives, you fight other players, you fight other ships. I think you make a ship, then you fly that ship. And so it's a very fun and interesting thing, Overwatch style game. So it's coming out later this week, I think. It's coming out, I think, tomorrow itself. It's coming out tomorrow. So it's like a hero shooter as well. So you have the PvP action there. Big different guns and stuff like that, as you can see. And then you make a ship. And then you fly around. And then you find some items, things, objectives to do. And you fight other ships as well. So you're finding these things, then you utilize them on your ship. Then you fly that ship, and then you fight other people. That's just basically it is. Outrun or outgun. So now you're fighting other ships. I think these are the player ships. So you basically can do that, which is very interesting. So I'm very interested in this, and I want to see how this game actually goes. And then you can board other ships and destroy other ships and stuff like that. So a lot of fun and new ideas. So Wildgate, I think, is coming out only on Steam, as far as I remember. So yeah, I think it's only on Steam. So it is coming out literally tomorrow again, this game. I don't have the game, but I'll add to the wishlist. It's a game that looks pretty interesting. So warn me beforehand if you do stream this game. Wait, this one, Wildgate? Yeah, I would love to. If I can get the chance to play this game. This is a multiplayer game, so I want to see how it's going to go. PvP multiplayer shooter that blends tactical ship-to-ship combat. Fast-paced first-person action game. So I'm excited for this game. It's going to be something very interesting. So that's another game that's coming out tomorrow. There's another game that's coming out later this month, literally 2 days after tomorrow, and that is Killing Floor 3. There's another game as well, Killing Floor 3, which is this first-person zombie shooter game. I've played Killing Floor 2, which has been an okay game. I had a good time for a little bit. I didn't play that much. Killing Floor 3 is coming out, which is going to improve everything that Killing Floor 2 had and bring it to this. I don't know how many people will play that game, because games like that, which Back 4 Blood also came out, which was based on Left 4 Dead, and I liked Left 4 Dead, but I did not like Back 4 Blood. So I don't know how Killing Floor 3 is going to do, but it's coming out 2 days after, on July 24th. Then Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers. This is the Souls-like game by I think a Chinese company. Not bothering Wu-Chang. Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, there was a gameplay. It's a very completely Souls-like only game. Very different kind of game, but very interesting. This is something like, oh, why is the quality so bad? Yeah, apparently that's the quality. But it is this the gameplay? Am I giving the wrong gameplay? But that was like, can we get it wrong? Gameplay. I think this is the...
all set in stone.
It's the same way I feel when someone says Metroidvania.
Yeah, so this is the new Souls-like game that's coming out on the 24th. This is the gameplay. So very completely Souls-like game. Nothing new. Nothing like if anybody has played a Souls-like game, you'll see this game. It's the same old kind of Souls-like kind of thing, but based on I think it's based on a Chinese mythology or something, or Chinese. It's a Chinese studio game, but it's very Souls-like, and it's not my kind of game. I will not be able to play it because I'll be very frustrated, to be really honest. Very interesting designs and stuff like that, but a lot of people are mixed on this. Some people would definitely love this game, so you have to just wait and see how this game goes. And this is coming out on 24th. I think this is on all platforms. And this is a preview from IGN, but I think this is on all platforms, on PS5, PC, Xbox, and all that stuff. So that's coming out 24th. A lot of people are talking about this game. I've seen this on Twitter and like other social media, Instagram too, on Twitter basically. So I've seen a lot of that. So I don't know how this game is going to be, but that is also coming out on the 24th. So interesting game, not my kind, but if anybody likes the Souls-like game, the visually it looks very promising. But other than that, I don't know if people will like it. So that's one of the things that I personally feel like maybe people will not like it, people will like it or not. We'll see. The other game that I'm genuinely excited for, that's the last game I'll talk about. One game that I'm not so keen on, but I know a lot of other people are, especially one of my friends who is a big fan of this game. There's this game called Grounded 2, which is finally launching on early access on 25th, which is this Friday as far as I remember. So it's an Xbox game, and that is not what this is. It's a Hercules thing. Can we just the gameplay? Gameplay, please. It's probably here. So Grounded is basically a game where you are very tiny sized humans and you are just surviving in this world. And this is taken from to a different location now. So you're in a completely different location. For some reason my internet is not working. It's a completely different location and you have bugs and stuff like that. So you fight against them. It's a pure survival game. Sorry about the internet, I don't know why it's not working. It's a survival game, so obviously you have spiders and all these different kind of bugs. So it's pretty interesting. What's happening with my internet? Sorry about that. I don't know why my internet is going crazy. But it's a Grounded 2. It's early access survival game that's coming out 25th. A lot of people will play this. It will be available on Xbox Game Pass day 1, so 25th. If you have Xbox Game Pass, you can play that game. If you know Grounded 2, it's exactly the same thing, but it has more additional things that Grounded 1 didn't have. And Grounded 2 is having it. So yeah, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's basically the same thing. If anybody has watched the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it's basically that. And survival. Early access for the time being. The first game, Grounded, went away from early access for a while, and it had a good amount of people playing it. So Grounded 2 getting released, which is very surprising for me. It literally was revealed last month, and it's coming out literally in 5 days, or in 4 days from now. So that's that game. The other game that I was talking about earlier that I'm very much excited for is a game that also came out of nowhere and got a release date from out of nowhere. It's a game called Dead Take. And I'm very excited to play this. This is a game called Dead Take. It's a game that is coming out on July 31st, literally later this month. And I'm very excited to play this game. It's a horror game, first of all. This is a horror game, but it includes Ben Starr, Neil Newborn, Laura Bailey, and a lot of different actors in the game. And you'll see why. So, you have this kind of game. We are getting inside a museum of some kind. It's also made by Surgeon Studios, who have made Tales of Kanzara Zao game, which is a very different side-scrolling Metroidvania-style game. Very different, based on grief. Very different game. This is a very different game. It's a horror game. Seems like you're in a museum, and you do different things. And you're supposed to... In this game, you're supposed to take these footages that you're seeing right now. That's Ben Starr. They've recorded these videos. Essentially, these are actors who are trying to audition for a movie or a TV show, whatever it is. For a movie, they're trying to audition, and you're supposed to take in all these scenes and bring them together and try to form a story and see what's happening. Splicing a video, which I've not really seen much here, so you can bring all these footages that you have collected, you splice the video, you put them together, and then you're forming a narration of some kind. It's very off topic, but I'm very curious about who you approach people for podcasts, if you can share. Who you approach people for a podcast, if you can share. Well, Bhupinder, I mostly talk to actors, and now I've been reaching out to directors as well. But mostly actors. So any actors who have been worked on video games, like different kind of video games that came out. So for example, I've done recently Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. So I'm focusing on their actors. So mostly actors, but I'm also bringing on some directors nowadays. I've already talked to Sam Lake last year, and I brought in Kyle Rowley, who's also from Alan Wake 2. He directed that. Earlier, literally last week, I pushed out Guillaume's interview, who's the director of Clair Obscur. I am hoping that later on I can do more director interviews, because my focus is to talk about storytelling, which is the prime focus of a lot of video games. So that's my focus, to talk about video game storytelling and scenes, and how do you bring them all together, decision making process. So it's that. So directors and actors, and that's what basically I will do. Will you be playing Metal Gear Delta? So yeah, I would like to play Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake of Metal Gear 3. I have never played a Metal Gear Solid. Wrong. I've never really played fully Metal Gear Solid games. I played Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. I didn't finish that game. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about Snake. So in order to play everything, it has to be from Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3. I know 3 is a prequel to Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. So I think like Metal Gear Solid Delta is a great way to start. And if they make other remakes, I don't know. But after Delta, I would love to play 1, 2, and then 4, and then Phantom Pain. So I would love to do that if I can get the time. But I would love to play Delta. I'm very excited for it. Back to this game. You can see splicing and mixing these things up.
Delicious.
And you basically
And the way he
bringing all
punches
these
his
things
actors,
in together. There's Alana Pierce, who I know from IGN.
bigger than themselves.
Then you're doing some solving, some taking items and stuff like that. So it's basically kind of splicing videos, watching a lot of videos, bringing them together, and then exploring the world a little bit, the museum a little bit, solving some puzzles, and that's it. I don't think so it's going to be a jump scary kind of video game, but it's going to be an uneasy, unsettling, what the hell is happening, curiosity-filled video game with a horror tone in it. And so this is very interesting, because there's a game called Inscription, which does the similar thing, where you don't do anything. It's literally in the screen, you see scenes, you see a lot of videos shot, and then you piece them together to see what's happening, what's the real story. And that's it. That's the game. That's Inscription. And so this is a game that I wanna. It's very similar, where these guys all are actors, actual actors in the video game, trying to perform auditions, trying to do something for a movie whoever's trying to make. And very interesting. So I've already interviewed Jane Perry in 2023 for her role at Serene in what's the name of the game? Returnal, Serene and Returnal, and she's Diana Burnwood in Hitman. Interviewed her then, so I'm hoping that maybe later this year I can interview her for this game specifically. I don't know, but this is another game that's coming out on July 31st. It's on Steam only. It's a PC only game for the time being. Maybe it's gonna come out on consoles, but I don't know about that. Just love your podcast. Thank you so much for coming by, Bhupinder, and I appreciate that you watch the podcast. I really do. But yeah, I mean, that's all the games that's coming out later literally this week itself, and the next week. The only game that's coming out next week is Dead Take. But later this week, we have 5 games: Luto, Wildgate, Killing Floor 3, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, and Grounded 2. All 5 games coming. Luto is a very indie game. Wildgate is a multiplayer. Killing Floor 3, I don't know how many people will play it, but I think Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, some people will play that. Grounded 2, a lot of people will play. And Dead Take is a game that I want to play, even though the studio is kind of small. But I would love to play that game. Just because I like the studio, and the one who owns the studio, whose name is Abu Bakar Salim. He's an actor as well. He was the lead in Assassin's Creed Origins. And so very good guy. He made the studio kind of remembering his father as well. So it's a pretty cool thing. Regardless, I just want to say thank you everybody who came along for the stream today. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys being here. This has been good. I would love to do that again next week to talk about kind of game stories, what's happening every Monday if I can, and do this every single week. So every Monday I would love to come by and talk about what's happening in this week of video games, the video game stories, what's coming out in this week in video games, and what probably some recommendations if I can. I don't have any recommendations at this point. I would love for people to try out Dead Take. That's coming out on July 31st. That's definitely would be my recommendation. If you're not into horror games, I don't think so that's a horror game per se. I would say that is more of a thriller game instead of a horror game. So my recommendation would be that. But if you want to do something like a survival game, Grounded 2 would be a great game to play because it is available on Xbox Game Pass. So if you have the subscription, you can play it with that subscription, which is like how much? Like it's a $10 subscription or $6-8 subscription. So if you can buy that, you can get Grounded 2 and many other games, obviously. But Grounded 2, if you're into survival games, you can play that. But yes, I just want to say thank you everybody who came along today, and for watching the stream, and also for watching all the episodes of Behind the Voice podcast. I appreciate that very much. There's another episode will be coming out later this week, hopefully on Friday. If you become a member of the channel right now, which you can get early access to every episode, which are extended episodes as well. So the episodes that you see on YouTube for free, there are some conversations that are left out, so you can watch, which I don't want to really share, which is like something kind of different than what you would like. So if you want to know more, we talk a little bit more on certain episodes, so you can watch a lot more with the extended episodes, and you can get those early. You can also get early guest announcements a lot more so if you become a member. So if you are a member, you can watch the next episode this Wednesday. Otherwise, you can watch the full episode on Friday. A new episode is coming out, and there's more hopefully in the works. I'm hopeful, I'm fingers crossing with the idea that there's more coming. There's some people that I'm in touch with. I'm hoping that it goes through and we can do this. So anyway, thank you for all the support. I appreciate you guys being here, and I shall see you guys next time on Monday next week. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Friday with a new episode and all. So thank you so much guys for coming by once again. It's been a pleasure for talking to you about all these video games. Again, like I said, I would do this again every Monday if I can, to talk about all these games because it's been fun for me. So yeah, thank you so much for all the support, and thank you so much for coming by even. And I should see you guys next time. Take care. Have a good one. Have a good start of the week. And